This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Hello, this call is for Corey Winfield. This is Attorney Paul Jancha Jr. calling. I'm appointed to represent you on a case coming up in the Niles Trial Court set for December 18th at 1 o'clock. So please give me a call back. Thank you. Bye.
Not a good day getting that voicemail. It wasn't. Today is November 22nd, 2020. 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield. Yeah, that was on my voicemail from 2018. And yeah, I think when he called, I might have actually been back in jail.
Took a minute to get that voicemail.
Actually, no. I wasn't back in jail. I might have been in the hospital. So that's where I end up when I decide to drink.
Right.
Yep. Good times. Not. It's good times now, though. But looking back at that, I'm coming up on the 2-year anniversary of that. And it's just like, looking back, I have to thank God. And I should make just a big old list of being like grateful items, like the things I'm grateful for.
Oh, yeah. That's a super awesome thing to do.
It would be huge. So, yeah. So I was listening to my voicemails. I decided to keep that one and put it in the open just because it, shows where I was at once, and I don't have to live that way, and I don't have to be that person anymore. And I have moved on. And for people who are kind of going through that same thing, they can listen to this and go, "Wow, okay, 2 years seems like a long time." Mm-hmm. It's really not. Mm-hmm. And especially if you're doing things right and moving in the right direction. I like to keep things moving forward in my life, and I've come a long way since then. I really have. Just as being a human.
Yeah.
And figuring out some of the things that I was doing wrong, completely wrong in my recovery.
Right.
Or not actually even being in recovery. Just being sober. There's a big difference. Being in recovery is someone who actually goes out and seeks the things that you need to do. Meetings, helping other people. Doing those kind of things, therapy appointments, going to the dentist, just little things like that, man, add up, and you keep your day busy, full of things moving forward, and, that's being in recovery.
Yeah, you just said one that kind of struck me that I think stands out, at least that helped me, was helping other people, because when I was active in my addiction, I think it goes across the board that you're so selfish. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty much, you don't care about anything but yourself, and anything that you do or say is just if it benefits you in some way, shape, or form. And that's kind of a sad thing. And when you're getting cleared up and you're not so foggy anymore and things start making sense to you, doing good things for other people really makes you feel awesome, And it's showing that you're getting out of yourself and that you can be a productive person in this world. And we all are. We were just in a bad spot. Yeah. And, I've talked about this before on the podcast. And for those of you who are familiar with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's one of the pathways that, some people, it's a pretty common actual pathway that people follow, but not necessarily, doesn't work for everybody. But there's a part in the big book, which is what they kind of, the guidebook, I guess you want to call their material that they kind of go by. And there's a section called the Promises. And in that, it's literally just one page. If you Googled it, the Promises of AA, and read through that, I would ask anyone out there, no matter what phase of your recovery that you're in, look that up and read it. And I guarantee you that something on that list of things, you can look at it like a list. It's a reading, but something in that has changed for you. Something in that big, long list of the things that will change for you in your life when you decide to put down your drink or drug. I guarantee you one or all of those things have at least been altered and have gotten better for you. It's amazing. It's crazy. I do that often. I revisit that often and just like, wow.
The promises are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And as you start going to AA, or if you want to try it out, you'll hear people read them from time to time. Some meetings read them, some meetings don't. But I think it's, I don't know, 5th month, six months, I started hearing them differently. I started thinking, yeah, like that is kind of starting to change for me. And the promises are true. You know, the big book, a lot of people think, I don't want to read that big old book. I mean, you look at it sometimes, you're like, man, I don't want to read it. That's not all. The first, I mean, it was, I'm just going to throw it out there, 157, 180 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that is the big book, and the rest are stories. So don't be discouraged by the size of the book. You know, it's like, geez, I got to read that whole thing. And then you realize, oh, no, you can read the stories if you want, but, you know, I recommend, you know, you read it, even if you're like, I don't do AA. I don't like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? What else are you doing? Like, read it.
Right.
And then tell me if you like it. And that's cool if you don't, but there'll be something that you take away.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for a certain pathway, we have a list of pathways with some links. I even added a couple more. It was like recovery yoga.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a thing. Hey, whatever, man.
Yeah.
But there's a link to those on our website, 217recovery.com. Of course, you can get there from the app as well.
Yeah.
Our resources page, but
yeah. And I had a really good conversation with a few guys today who are in recovery, different stages, all of them at different stages. And one of them was talking about how they just taken on a sponsor. And I think he's got like almost coming up on 60 days maybe. And he said that he had asked this guy and, you know, thought that, you know, he saw that guy had what he wanted. They kind of say that as a guideline, like pick out somebody in the program, either by what they share about and talk about with you, or just as they share with the group, that you like, you kind of can find, you know, a comfortability and you can relate to a lot of the things that they talk about. And he, you know, asked this other guy to be a sponsor, and the guy said, you know, let me think about it, which is also a common thing because, you know, you're committing to, you know, a relationship, if you want to call it that, professional relationship of sponsor-sponsee. And same thing with recovery coaching. You know, same thing is you have a job to do. You know, there's goals in mind. There's tasks that will be given. There's a huge like respect and communication piece that is necessary. And so it's common for the sponsee or the sponsor, after being asked, to kind of like maybe sit on it for a minute or ask, you know, a couple questions of the sponsee, like an interview, to see if it's going to be a good fit, you know. And so maybe less times they'll start off being as a temporary, you know, if somebody to get started and see if they click kind of thing, which is cool too. You know, you don't have to feel like this is like do or die, like you're signing, you know, a marriage certificate or something. So, but yeah, it was kind of a beautiful thing because, you know, he was super excited about it, and he's like, yeah, I got to do this, and I'm going to reading this part of the book, and then, you know, I got to do some step work and so on and so forth. And I was like, and he was pumped, you know, he was excited about it. And at one point I was just like, you know, just remember, man, like this isn't a race, you know, like take as much time as you want, process stuff, like, you know, this is awesome that you're doing it. And, you know, just, you know, obviously a sponsor, you know, they kind of know what's going on. They know a little bit about a lot of it, and, you know, they have experience, strength, and hope to share with you. And that's kind of the whole idea. Same thing with recovery coaches, you know. So it's just something for if those of you out there that are kind of thinking about, like, do I need a sponsor? Do I not need one?
It can be hard. Like, if you choose, like, okay, if you're like, man, this AA thing is for me, I dig it. I need the structure. I need to be going back and looking over, you know, where I messed up. Then, you know, that's fine. Then get yourself a sponsor and just go for it, man. But don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work. You know, just get yourself back up and keep going. Mm-hmm. But if you're like, man, I really, and most of us don't like being told what to do. And the sponsors are different, you know. Like we're all human. We all have our own personalities, and some sponsors are they're just different. Some sponsors are more, hey man, here's what you need to do it. I'm not going to track you down.
Right.
Where others are like, you need to call me every single morning at 7:55 or I'm not going to be sponsored, so it's completely different.
And you could even look at it if you don't like that word that word is used a lot with the AA pathway, but you can have a sponsor and for any pathway. And if you don't like that word sponsor, they're like a mentor. Look for, that's what they are. You stick them with that label and it seems scary. Mm-hmm. But, there's nothing wrong. And be open and honest about, what you're willing to do in your part with that relationship. Like, be like, I ain't going to call you every day, dude, or whatever, it come to an understanding, like what works for both of you that the sponsor's going to be okay with and that you're going to be able to keep up with. And they're going to ask you to do some stuff that you don't really feel like doing, but that's part of doing the work of, actually getting to the bottom of a lot of stuff and figuring stuff out and doing your inventory and, so on and so forth. But, I advocate totally for recovery coaches.
Yeah, which are completely different.
I just was touching on that because this is that individual that I came across today was really excited about it, which I think that's awesome.
Hell yeah, if you're excited about your recovery, that's a good sign.
Yes.
And I've seen people like, oh, my sponsor said I have to do that, and they're excited and geeked to do it. Mm-hmm. And that right there is a very good sign, just the way you're thinking about things, the way you go into situations. Now, if you get yourself a sponsor like, hate that dude. He told me that I need to, do step 1, 2. I don't want to, good luck. It's probably not going to work out. But if you're excited and pumped, hell yeah, great sign. That's good. It makes me excited.
Yeah.
For the guy, I don't even know who you're talking about, but I'm excited for him. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that goes well.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can keep that great attitude, and keep moving forward. And, there'll be some things I'm sure the sponsor will say to him, or he'll be like, man, I really don't like that. Well, stop and think why you don't like that. Why? Is it something in you, like something that you did that you didn't like that now you have to remember? Yeah. Or you have to put it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, those ones, that's a toughie.
Mm-hmm. But, keep in mind, too, and I'm sure your sponsor will tell you, that was back then, and that's just, you can't change it. Mm-hmm. He's just trying to point out, going forward, we want to be different than that guy. Yeah. These are the things that dude did. Let's do things different.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, I think, in general, is like, you're not trying to get your old life back. Like, that's what you don't want is you don't want the old you. It's starting fresh and starting new and building up, a new you that's clean and sober and happy with yourself.
All right. Well, we're 13 minutes in it. We're already talking about recovery.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, but I wanted to set up.
You had a bunch of mindless random stuff you wanted to talk about?
No, I had some really on point stuff I want to talk about.
Go.
All right. Well, I eventually want to talk about wedding jitters. Oh. Looks like we're finally going to have our sex talk.
Oh.
Today.
Okay.
You were doing the research. But there's something I want to talk about before I talk about those things. And it came to me in a dream last night. I think Jesus hand delivered it to my brain. I was like, here you go.
Oh, God, I can't wait.
Patted me on the back and said, now you're ready. Then I heard a I realized it was just toilet flushing. Then you jump back into bed. I was like, oh, that wasn't Jesus at all. That was Marnie. But no, I was thinking, and at first I was thinking, oh, that's cool. I need to do a promo. But if we set up a 217 Recovery podcast network, which we kind of have a couple shows, well, sort of, not really, but yeah, under the 217 umbrella, the Project Nation podcast is still out there. Mm-hmm. It's on the platforms, and it just needs a host. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I thought of having a promo going, hey, do you want to be on a podcast? So if you're wanting to do a podcast, and people have approached me all the time, I want to do a podcast. It's not that easy. It sounds easy, but the time, the dedication, Like there's going to be commitment that'll need to be put in, but I will help somebody and